like you all are doing well. So I wanted to come on to share with you about protein, okay? Protein whilst pregnant, protein whilst trying to be pregnant, and protein whilst postpartum. Did you know that on average, women are eating less and less, about 50% less of their optimal protein needs for healthy pregnancy, for balance and healthy fertility and trying to conceive, and then also in postpartum. So 50% less is huge. All right. So the optimal protein requirements for a childbearing body or a female body depends on the weight, as well as on average is supposed to be around 80% when you're trying not to be pregnant, maybe 80 grams to 120 grams. But a lot of women, and studies have shown that a lot of women consume about 40 to 45 grams. Sometimes the maximum is around 70 grams. And that is really not enough. That is not optimal, first of all, for fertility, and it's not optimal for pregnancy, even with singleton pregnancy. And if a woman finds herself having a multiple pregnancy, she needs even more protein, right? Protein, she needs to eat adequate protein and actually complete and bioavailable protein to be able to sustain herself and sustain the fetal development as well. And then in postpartum, women need even more protein to be able to recover faster, to be able to heal from all the tissue and all the birth and the birth recovery, birth trauma if you have it, and all the changes that happen whilst pregnant, and also if you are breastfeeding, whilst you are breastfeeding. With the production of placenta as well, protein is such a huge factor or such a huge nutrient that is used to produce the placenta. So if women find themselves not eating enough protein, then it means their placenta is going to suffer, right? It's not going to be the healthy placenta, because there are research also that shows how a healthy placenta affects the fetal development, as or the unhealthy placenta affects the fetal development. So healthy placenta is really helpful, because in as much as we think a lot about the baby, the health of the baby, it is about time also women start to think about the health of their placenta. So how is your placenta healthy? How are you preparing for that to be healthy, right? To be optimal, to be in a good shape to support the development of your baby. Because as we know, the placenta is where the baby connects directly with the mother, right? So the placenta, and then the umbilical cord, and then the amniotic fluid, right? So the placenta is what filters a lot of the toxins, what filters a lot of the unuseful, not beneficial stuff from the mother to the that goes to the baby. So if your placenta is not optimal, is not in a good shape, then how do you think it's going to filter and detoxifies what the baby doesn't need? You understand? So even though Allah has his own way of protecting the baby in utero, but a lot of the time we also have to pay attention and do our best. We have to do our best to keep everything optimally. So protein, no doubt, is very important. If you are trying to be pregnant, if you are pregnant, if you are in your postpartum period, if you are breastfeeding, even in between having a baby and also the next baby, protein is important. It is very essential across board, right? So it is important, right? So we have to pay attention to how much we take, what type of protein we consume, and how frequent we consume it, right? How frequent, how much we take, and what type. Very, very important. How bioavailable it is, because we can eat how much we want sometimes, but that would not be bioavailable a lot of the times. The nutrients that we need in our body is not ready to digest it enough for the body to actually utilize it the way it's supposed to be utilized. Right? So protein especially is important. Protein is used for our muscle development, is used in creating the cells, like our cellular function is dependent highly on protein. So different cells break down and they wear off, and protein is responsible in producing new cells for our body to keep functioning. Protein is also very important in our healthy metabolic function, like how the body breaks down food, how the body breaks down nutrients, how the body utilizes it and removes what it needs and what it doesn't. So those are the metabolic function, right? And then also protein is also very, very essential, if not critical, right? It's very essential. When we say essential, essential means there's no two ways about it. That is the only way, right? Protein is what is used to produce enzymes and hormones in our body. Without the enzymes, we cannot really function. The enzymes helped without the hormones, we can really not function, because the hormone is used up in the way our menstrual cycle goes every month and every month and every month. Like once you hit the puberty, that's it. You get your menstrual cycle. And menstrual cycle is not only the flow of the blood. Menstrual cycle is actually the whole 28 days, and sometimes 27, 28, or 29 days for some women. So menstrual cycle is the whole thing. There is the follicular phase, there is the luteal phase, there is the menstrual phase, and there is the excuse me, and there is the ovulatory phase. All of those four phases of menstruation or the menstrual cycle are dependent on adequate and ideal protein intake, right? They are, especially the luteal phase. That is when you release your egg, and your egg is dependent on the protein most of the time to have a quality. So we hear a lot of the times we say egg quality, egg quality. So what does that mean? It all depends on the protein intake, and then some micronutrients as well, right? So very important. And we hear a lot about high protein food, and that sometimes scare us. Ooh, high protein food. How can I have enough protein? A lot of women don't even think about how their everyday meal is very deficient in protein, because we just eat and we don't really count, and we don't really maximize, like consciously maximizing the protein in our food, and then the micronutrients in our food, because I'm gonna come back again to discuss about micronutrients. So we don't really pay attention to that because maybe we don't have the adequate information. Maybe we are not educated enough to do that. Maybe the access is not there. Maybe protein is just something that we think the rich and the affluent people have, but that's not true. That's not true. All of those things are not true. If you are not adequately educated in how much and how much and everything else that applies to the health of your eggs, your own health, and then your future baby's health, this channel is such a perfect channel for you So make sure if you are not subscribed to please subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the videos. Like I come on here every weekend to share a live, to share an information. Sometimes I share some recipes. Sometimes I share very important information, and I also share reminders, Islamic reminders and other stuff that are important for us women. Okay, so make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, and also don't forget to share to other women who you think might benefit from this channel and this information as well. All right. So protein, coming back to protein is such a foundational nutrient. So we have three major micronutrients that our body critically need. And one of the major one is protein. And the next one is fat. And the next one is carbohydrate. I know maybe by now you know all of this. And then sometimes we can add fiber as a micronutrient depending on what kind of carbohydrate you eat. And then we can also add water, hydration, that's water, primarily water, as one of the macronutrients as well. So it is macro and micro. So one of the macronutrients, because without water, I don't know what is going to happen with all of us. Our body is made up of about 60 to almost 70% water. So we need it, whether we like it or not. Right. So water is essential, except that some books and some books don't tell us point blank that water is a macronutrient, but it is generally agreed that water is a macronutrient. We need it for vital, important things in our body, right? So recapping it, it is protein first, and then carbohydrates with fiber, and then also fat. So those are the things that we need. That's the macro. We need that in bigger, chunky amount, right? We have to eat them enough. Without eating them enough, then there is a problem, right? If we eat too much of it, especially with the carbohydrates, and the carbohydrates are not fiber forward, then there is a problem. And then also when we eat the protein that is not really bioavailable for our body to utilize, then also it causes a problem, right? That's why it's very important to always make sure that you are, when you think about your nutrition is mostly real food nutrition. It is not a lot of packaged foods. It's not a lot of processed foods. It's not a lot of supplements. It's not a lot of every other thing, maybe too much package and sugar laden food. It is actually from real food. You can actually see the food. Like I have an orange, for instance. Orange is a real food. There's nothing added to it. That is what we get from the tree, the orange tree, and it's real, right? Orange is a fruit. So it is a whole food. It has fiber in it. It has the natural sugar. It has the liquid in it. It has some vitamins and minerals in it. So this is how Allah has created this real food. So as much as possible, we try to eat real food. And then with the protein, real food is basically from animal sources, from plant sources. And the animal sources is mostly the chicken, the fish, the seafood, and everything else that is animal. And then the plant sources are the beans, the nuts, and the seeds, and the nuts and the seeds, right? So those are the plant sources. But do we also know that the plant sources are not bioavailable protein? They are not really complete protein. You have to mix it up with some other stuff to make them complete. And I have mentioned this before in one of my videos. I will link that. I will link that video in the description box below after this live video. Okay. And then also I have made very cute video about plant-based proteins, that if you are not doing very well with animal-based protein, or you just want to have a varied protein sources in your food, then you can check that out as well, because I have mentioned a whole bunch and I have a whole tips and tricks and information in there. All right. And yeah, yesterday I was on live as well, and I discussed about a very important nutrient that we need when you are in your third trimester, as well as in your postpartum period, especially if you are breastfeeding. That is very important. Your body doesn't produce that. You need to get that from your food. So that I will link that as well in the description box, and you can also check that as well. Check that out as well. And then protein is important. So coming back to it, it says protein is necessary, but a lot of the times women don't eat enough, right? We don't eat it enough. So how do you make sure that you have adequate protein in your meal? By prioritizing meal planning and meal prepping. So you prioritize meal planning. Meal planning is not for everybody. Meal prepping even is not for everybody. But if it is not for you, how do you make sure that there is enough of what you need for your body? There is enough of what your female body needs. Because let's face it, once you hit the childbearing age, everything else is fighting against you. You need to pay attention to that body that is a new body for yourself. Now the body is trying to menstruate. Now the body is trying to start producing matured eggs, so that just in case there is an event that you are pregnant, if you are in that stage of wanting to become pregnant, your body is ready. And then also your body is really getting ready to sustain that pregnancy, and the pregnancy should be a healthy pregnancy. Because if it is not a healthy pregnancy in the first stages, your body is gonna let go of that pregnancy. And that is how it is. That is how Allah has made it. And as much as possible, our body doesn't fight against us. How our body is all for us, right? Allah has created our body in such a way that if there is something that is going to harm us, then that thing would be rid of, right? So just for us not to create too much stress in our life and bring too much harm to ourselves, our body will read those things, will read it out, will in a form of miscarriage, right? In a form of chemical miscarriage, right? Or sometimes if it is not too early, it is actually a full-blown miscarriage. So even if you're going through that, and for the sisters who are going through that, my prayers and dua goes out to you. That's such a difficult time, and it is really difficult. But how do you get ready for that? Or how do you get your body ready for that, just in case that happens? It's through adequate nutrition and adequate protein as well, right? So even it says postpartum is the same across board. Whether there is a live birth, whether there is no live birth, whether you are breastfeeding, whether you are not breastfeeding, it's still postpartum. Once there is pregnancy that happened, it is still postpartum. So you have to take that protocol of the same person, the same protocol that somebody who has given birth, who has had a live birth. The same way, if you have not had a live birth, you have had a chemical miscarriage or whatever it is, you still have to take care of yourself the same way as the person who has had a baby and the baby is in their hands, right? And protein is one of the major things that help us to heal. So protein is one of the major things that also help us to recover faster. If you've had a C-section birth, that's a belly birth, you need protein to heal the wound as fast as possible. You need also adequate protein to be able to repair the tissues as much as possible, the wound that is in you, the internal wound as well as the external wound. You need that. If you had a vaginal birth, that's physiological birth, as much as possible, you also need protein, because sometimes women tear, sometimes women don't tear, but they go through some stuff like too much blood, maybe hemorrhage, maybe the tearing, or a lot of things happen during birth. We cannot predict that, but what we can predict is the ideal nutrition that we're supposed to be giving ourselves. So protein is very, very important. What are some of the easy protein I was mentioning? The easy protein that you can really push your body with, push it down in your body and have it enough as much as possible. What are those kind of protein? That is the chicken, that is the beef, that is the lamb, that is the mutton, that is the salmon, that is the fish, that is the shrimp, the herrings, and nuts from plants, and seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, cashew, walnut, and all of those things are very important, are very, very essential, and they are also high in protein, except that the animal protein have other minerals that our body needs for its chemical reactions and other mechanical reactions as well. And with the plant protein, even though there are other nutrients and vitamins and minerals, but the protein actually is not complete, is a little lacking. So make sure you are having a varied protein sources in your meal, in your nutrition, and you will be good to go. So how can you have that adequacy in your nutrition whilst you are trying to be pregnant in your fertility journey? That's preconception, fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum. You can count how much protein you are adding. For instance, I count. Okay, I count the macros. Sometimes, not all the time, because I'm used to it. I know that if I eat two eggs for medium or large egg, it's about 7 grams of protein per egg. So 7 grams of protein, if I eat 2 eggs, that would be how many? That would be 14 grams of protein. And I need average of 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal to add up to the 100 to 120 grams of protein per day, right? So if I'm able to eat 30 to 40 grams, that means I have reached 1/3 of what I need for the day, right? 1/3 of what I need for the day would be around 30 to 40. And then if I've eaten 2 eggs or 3 eggs, 3 eggs will be 21 grams. And then I have maybe some Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is high in protein as well. And that is also animal form of protein because it's dairy, right? And it has some added fat in it. It has some added vitamin D and some other minerals in it. So it is a plus as well for me. And Greek yogurt, maybe half a cup. That is about 8 grams of protein. And then I add maybe some cheese to it, or I add something else, maybe a collagen in the Greek yogurt to mix it up, because its collagen doesn't have any flavor, especially if you're using the unflavored one. It doesn't have no flavor. So I add 2 scoops. 2 scoops is about 8 grams of protein to 10 grams, depending on what brand you're using. So that is about 10 grams. So 21 grams plus 10 grams is about 31 grams. And then with the other stuff that I'm going to eat for the breakfast for the morning, I'm hitting my 35 grams to 40 grams of protein as easy as that, right? As easy as that. And remember, when you are eating eggs, please stop eating only the egg whites, okay? Egg whites only contains the protein, the albumin. But again, the yolk is where the magic happens. The yolk is where the actual party happens. That is where the choline is. That's where the vitamin D is. That's where the vitamin K is. That's where the magnesium is. The everything else. That's where it is. The yolk. That's where the party is. So try as much as possible. If you are an egg white person, this is not the time when you get to your childbearing age, especially if you are in your fertility and your postpartum period. This is not a time to only eat egg white. Please add egg yolk to your meal, because egg yolk has essential something in it that's also called choline, and choline is such an important nutrient whilst you are trying to be pregnant, during pregnancy, after pregnancy. Okay. All right. So I wanted to also mention something. I am forgetting that. Yeah. So one example of breakfast is also maybe salmon. You break your salmon, you mash it, and you make it into a salmon salmon salad, right? You add some few vegetables in it, maybe shallot, you slice it, or some assorted pepper, that's red, yellow, orange, pepper or green pepper. You cut it, or whatever vegetable you want. You want some spinach. Spinach is bland. There's no taste to it, and it's really tolerable, right, for a lot of people. You slice it, or parsley even is very good. You make it into salad. You add some Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt, like I said, has a lot of protein. The salmon has a lot of protein. If you don't want Greek yogurt in your salmon, you can also add mayo. Mayo that is made from real eggs and not just artificial mayo, right? You make sure you are choosing that from the store. If not, then you can easily make your mayo, okay? You can easily make your mayonnaise and add some egg yolk with some good fat olive oil or avocado oil to it, and you blend it and you have your mayo. It's full of protein as well as the beautiful minerals in it, and you mix it, and that's it. Maybe just 2 or 3 ounces of salmon can give you about 21 grams of protein easily, and you add some other stuff to it. And then when you add the mayo, it's also adding some protein, or you add the Greek yogurt, it's also adding some protein. If you are having some tea or Milo or whatever beverage you are eating with your breakfast, you make sure you add some collagen powder into that liquid, because collagen powder also easily adds protein to your food, and it's really not a hard thing to do. When it's in your beverage, I'm going to come on and share a video. I have shared a video about on hot chocolate, like herbal hot chocolate before. That also I'm going to link it down. But also I'm going to also share another yolky hot chocolate thing that you can add to your pregnancy diet or postpartum diet. That is easy as easy as that for you to get those protein in, okay? And smoothie is such an easy way to also add in protein, okay? To also eat enough vegetables, even though there are controversies about smoothies, I, for instance, as a perinatal nutritionist, I have seen a lot of cases of, I have read a lot of cases as well about women not being able to eat in their first trimester. I am one of them. I have been my own client. Okay, I have been my own client, and I have experienced that. No way would I tell a woman who is not able to eat, who is not able to keep down anything, to not capitalize on the amazing power of well-made smoothie. Okay, if the smoothie is very well made, it's calculated. Okay, calculated means what? You make sure your smoothie has protein, your smoothie has fat, those major nutrients. Those are the macronutrients that I mentioned. It has protein, it has fat, it has fiber, right? And then you add some other stuff to it that maximizes those minerals that you need. Why not? Okay, why not? Even though those nutrients would be smashed up and they would just go through your system as easy as possible, as easy, because sometimes we don't really need our nutrients to go through our system easily. We need the body to take its time to digest it, to absorb it, and to assimilate it. But in that case, when you need a lot of nutrients, smoothie are such a game changer. You don't want to play with it. Adding collagen powder as well to it is such a good idea. I have a smoothie recipe that I'm going to link maybe after this video. I'm going to link it wherever you find it. And then also I'm going to link it in the description box as well. It looks like we have a whole bunch of links that would be beneficial to you. So make sure you check them all out. And that is a smoothie, very helpful for nausea for the first trimester. And I've received a whole lot of reviews and a whole lot of positive responses from a lot of people that smoothie was a game changer for them. That smoothie was very helpful and everything else. So if you are interested, it's not only for the first trimester. If you want some boost of nutrition, something to give you some here and there vegetable intake, especially if you are somebody who is not meeting their vegetables and fruit intake, smoothies are such a game changer. So go in and grab it and then make it. All right, so I think I would be calling it a day in about a minute or so, because that's all that I have written. And if you are looking to optimize the fertility and your menstrual cycle, your pregnancy, and your postpartum, please don't forget, like I said, to check my channel and also make sure to subscribe. And also, I'm going to link in the description box my email subscription, okay, link that you can subscribe to my email. And I'm going to be sending out emails every week about nutrition, about birth and postpartum and herbal medicine. Okay, so yesterday I did a video. Was it yesterday? A day before yesterday or yesterday? I did a video about herbal blends and herbal remedies for during the postpartum and pregnancy period. So I will be sending out those emails as well. So if you are that kind of person who is looking for support, please don't forget to subscribe to my email and let's be friends, okay? Don't also forget to share it. Share it to other women, and they would also enjoy and benefit from the khair. And as well as you are also going to be benefiting from the khair, inshallah. All right, so that is it for today. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you have any questions, please put it in the comment section below. If you don't have any question, please share this video. And until next time, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Stay in the best of health and iman, and may Allah make it easy for us all in this dunya and the akhirah as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.